Good evening students, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we will discuss the second part of tissue chapter. In the first session, lecture 1, only plant tissues were covered, different plant tissues, their classification, their functions that were covered in the previous session, and today we will cover animal tissues. That is the second part of this chapter, and today the chapter will complete. So let's start first. Animal tissues. Animal tissues. So animal tissues, on the basis of the functions they perform, animal tissues are classified into 4 basic types. On the basis of their functions they perform, these animal tissues are classified into 4 types. So on the basis, these are classified on the basis of functions. On the basis of functions they perform, they classified into 4 types, 4 basic types. So number one animal tissue is epithelial tissue. Epithelial tissue. First is epithelial tissue. Second type is connective tissue. Second one is connective tissue. Third one is muscular tissue. Third one is muscular tissue. And the last, fourth one is nervous tissue, or simply nervous. Clear? So all total 4 tissues. These were classified animal tissues. There were 4 tissues: epithelial tissue, connective tissue, muscular tissue, nervous tissue, or simply nervous, or you can say nervous tissue. All total 4 tissues. Now we will discuss each of these one by one. Coming to epithelial tissue, this epithelial tissue is further subdivided into 5 parts. This epithelial tissue are further subdivided into 5 parts. So number one, coming to epithelial tissue, the first part, all total 5 parts, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So first is squamous tissue. First one is squamous tissue. Second one, cuboidal tissue. Third one is columnar. Fourth one is ciliated columnar. And the last one is glandular. Clear? So all total 5: squamous, cuboidal, columnar, ciliated columnar and glandular. Clear? Now this squamous tissue is further divided into 2 parts. This squamous tissue is further subdivided into 2 parts. One is simple and one is stratified. So number 1 is simple, number 2 is stratified. So this is the classification of epithelial tissue. Coming to connective tissue, these are further subdivided. So connective tissue has many parts. So number one is blood. Second one is bone. Third one is cartilage. Fourth one is tendon. Fifth one is ligament. Sixth one is areolar. And the last, that is 7th one, is adipose. adipose. So this is the Classification of connective tissue: blood, bone, cartilage, tendon, ligament, areolar and adipose. Clear? Next, coming to muscular tissue is classified into three parts. Muscular tissue is classified into three parts. Number one, muscular tissue is classified into three parts. Number one is striated tissue, that is striated. Number one is unstriated, and last, number three is cardiac. And nervous tissue, it has no classification, no subdivision. So this is the total classification of animal tissues: epithelial tissue, connective tissue, muscular tissue and nervous tissue, four basic part, and these parts are further classified as given. Clear? Now we will discuss each of these tissue one by one. So first one is epithelial tissue. Number one tissue from animal tissue is epithelial tissue. Number one is epithelial tissue. So what is epithelial tissue? The covering or protective tissue of the animal. The covering or protective tissue in the animal, that is your epithelial tissue. That is the body of animal which is protected by a tissue. This is known as epithelial tissue. It is the simplest protective tissue of the animal body. So it is the covering or protective tissue in animal body. Covering or protective tissue in animal body. Covering or protective tissue in animal body. These are epithelial tissues. Simplest protective tissue is also simple protective tissue in animal body. Simple protective tissue in animal body. It covers most of the organs and cavities of the body. It forms most of the organs and cavities of animal body. So these are the information, and also this epithelial tissue, it forms a barrier. It forms a barrier to keep different body systems separated from each other. Now animal body has different organs, different body systems. So it forms or it acts like a barrier to keep these organs or these body systems separate from each other. In these tissues, cells are very tightly packed. In these tissues, the cells are very tightly packed and forms continuous sheet, and there is almost no intercellular space between them. They have a very small amount of connecting material between them. So as it is a tissue, so it is combined of different cells or many cells, and no intercellular space is available between these cells. They have a very small amount of cementing material between them, and these tissues acts like a barrier to keep different body systems separated from each other. So it acts like a barrier. It acts like a barrier to keep different body parts or body systems separate from each other or separated from each other. Clear? These are the information available on epithelial tissues. Now on the basis of the shape of cells, in epithelial tissue, the arrangement of epithelial tissues are classified into total 5 types on the basis of shape of cells. These epithelial tissues are classified, and as per the arrangement of the cells, they are classified into total 5 types. That is squamous epithelium, cuboidal epithelium, columnar epithelium, ciliated columnar epithelium and glandular epithelium. All total 5 types on the basis of the shape of cells and their arrangement in epithelial tissues. So number one, that is squamous epithelium or simply squamous. We can write squamous epithelium or simply squamous epithelium. Squamous epithelium or simply squamous. Now this squamous epithelium or squamous tissue constitutes the skin which protects the body. It constitutes actually the skin which protects our body. So it constitutes the skin which protects the body, and this squamous epithelium is further categorized as two types. One is your simple squamous epithelium and number two is stratified squamous epithelium. So it is further subdivided into two categories. One is your simple squamous epithelium and the second one is your stratified squamous epithelium. So one is simple squamous epithelium and the second one is stratified squamous epithelium. Clear? Now coming to simple squamous epithelium, it is a single layered and closely fitted cell or tissue. It is single layered and closely fitted. The cells are very thin and flat and like tiles over a floor. When tiles are closely packed or closely cemented together on a floor, it looks like almost that. So number one, it is a single layered and closely fitted. Single layered and they are closely fitted. Single layered and they are closely fitted. The cells are very thin and flat. Number two, cells are very thin and flat, and it also covers the oesophagus and lining of our mouth. It also covers the oesophagus in our mouth and the lining of mouth. So number three, it covers oesophagus. It covers oesophagus and lining of mouth and lining of mouth. Clear? So this is squamous epithelium, simple squamous epithelium. Coming to stratified squamous epithelium, it is found on the outer side of the skin. Why? Because it is highly resistant to mechanical injury. This stratified squamous epithelium is highly resistant to mechanical injury and this is waterproof also. That is why it is found on the outer side of the skin. So number one point of stratified squamous epithelium is it is found in the outer side of the skin. It is found on the outer side of the skin, as it is highly resistant. It is highly resistant to mechanical injury, and it is also waterproof and is waterproof also. Simply waterproof. Clear? That's why it is found in the outer side of the skin. And here cells are arranged in many layers to prevent wear and tear. Here cells are only single layered, but in case of stratified squamous epithelium, cells are actually arranged in many layers to prevent wear and tear. Number two, cells are Cells are arranged in many layers. Cells are arranged in many layers to prevent wear and tear. Clear? So this is about stratified squamous epithelium. So this is all total, that is squamous epithelium tissue under epithelial tissue. Next after squamous epithelium or squamous epithelial tissue, second tissue under epithelial tissue is your cuboidal epithelium. Number 2, that is cuboidal epithelium. Cuboidal epithelium. Now it is made up of, as it is cuboidal, the name is cuboidal, so it is made up of cube shaped cells. It is made up of cube shaped cells which have a round nucleus. So number 1, it is made up of cube shaped cells which have a round nuclei or nucleus, which have a round nuclei. It also helps, the cuboidal epithelium also helps absorption, excretion and secretion. Its function, the cuboidal epithelium, the function of cuboidal epithelium actually, it also helps in absorption, excretion and secretion. So number 2 point, it helps in absorption, excretion and secretion. Clear? So this is cuboidal epithelium. After cuboidal epithelium, third category is columnar epithelium. Columnar epithelium. So number 1 point of columnar epithelium, that it is made up of tall pillar-like cells. Like cuboidal epithelium, it is made up of cube-shaped cells. In case of columnar epithelium, it is made up of pillar-like cells or tall cells with elongated nuclei. Here the nuclei was round-shaped nuclei, but in case of columnar epithelium, the nucleus will be elongated nuclei or extended nuclei. So it is made up of columnar epithelium. It is made up of tall pillar-like cells with elongated nuclei. Now its function is it facilitates movement of across epithelial barrier. Its function is it facilitates movement of across epithelial barrier, and also it is found in the inner lining of intestine. In our intestine, in inner lining of intestine, it is found where absorption and secretion occur. That means it is found in inner lining of intestine and it facilitates movement across epithelial barrier. So it is found, number 2, it is found in the inner lining of intestine. Inner lining of intestine. And number 3, its function is it facilitates movement across epithelial barrier. Its function is it facilitates movement across epithelial barrier. So this is columnar epithelium. This is the third category of epithelial tissue. Number 4 category under epithelial tissue is ciliated columnar epithelium. Ciliated columnar epithelium. So when columnar epithelium or columnar epithelial cells possess a cilia-like structure. Cilia-like structure means hair-like structure. Here cilia means hair-like structure. So when columnar epithelial cells possess cilia or hair-like structure, then it is called ciliated columnar epithelium. That means its structure is hair-like structure. So number 1 point, when columnar epithelial cells possess cilia means hair-like structure, possess cilia, it is called ciliated columnar epithelium. Clear? The cilia or the hair-like structure have the ability to move. The cilia has the ability to move, and their movement pushes the substance like mucus forward. Their movement pushes the substances like mucus forward. So the cilia has the ability to move, and its movement pushes the substances to move forward, or pushes the substances like mucus to move forward. And also this ciliated columnar epithelium is found in the respiratory tract and the lines of kidneys, sperm ducts or kidney tubules, etc. So it is found in respiratory tract, in the respiratory tract. It is found in the respiratory tract and lines of oviduct or lines oviducts, also sperm ducts. This is E, sperm ducts, kidneys, or more precisely kidney tubules, etc. Kidney or kidney tubules, etc. So here this ciliated columnar epithelium, this tissue is found. Last one of epithelial tissue, that is glandular epithelium. Glandular epithelium. Now what is glandular epithelium? This tissue is actually the combination of or formed by the gland cells. When gland cells secrete substances at the epithelial surface, then this glandular epithelium tissue is formed. So gland cells actually secrete substances at this epithelial surface, then these glandular epithelium tissues are formed. So gland cells secrete substances at the epithelial surface. Gland cells secrete substances at the epithelial surface, then glandular epithelium tissues are formed. Sometimes the portion of this glandular epithelial tissue folds inward. This glandular epithelium tissues are folds inward. This results in the formation of a multicellular gland, which is known as this glandular epithelium. So when glandular epithelium tissues are formed, when this portion or some portion of epithelial tissue folds inward, and this result in the formation of a multicellular gland, then these glandular epithelium tissues are formed. What is its function? The function is it actually helps in absorption of water and nutrients in diffusion of gases. It helps in the absorption of water and nutrients in the diffusion of gases, also the elimination of waste product from our body. So there are two functions. One is it helps the absorption of water and nutrients in the diffusion of gases, and number two, it helps in the elimination of waste products from our body. So number one function or number 2 point is it helps in absorption of water and nutrients and in diffusion of gases, and in diffusion of gases. Also, second function or point number 3 is it helps in the elimination of waste products from our body. It helps in elimination of waste products or waste substances from the body. So this is our glandular epithelium tissue, or simply glandular epithelium. Clear? So epithelial tissue complete, all total 5 parts. Next we will move to connective tissue. So next one, connective tissue. Next one is connective tissue. This is second tissue, connective tissue. Connective tissue. Now in connective tissue, as the name suggests, connective, so this tissue is specialized to connect various body organs. This tissue is specialized to connect various body organs with each other. For example, it connects 2 or more bones to each other. It connects 2 or more bones to each other muscles, and also it binds different tissues together and gives support to various parts of our body. That is the connective tissue. So I am repeating again, just write what I am repeating. So connective tissue, as the name suggests, it is connective. So this tissue is specialized to connect various body organs with each other. For example, it connects 2 or more bones with each other muscles, and it binds different tissues together. Also it gives support to the various parts of our body. So mainly its function is to connect our body parts or connect our body organs. Clear? So this is connective tissue. Now this connective tissue is classified into many parts. So number 1 connective tissue we will discuss, that is blood. Number 1 connective tissue that we will discuss is blood. Now this blood is a fluid connective tissue. Blood is like a fluid. So it is a fluid connective tissue that links different part of the body. It is a fluid connective tissue. It links different parts of the body and also helps to maintain the continuity of the body. So number 1 point, in blood, it is a fluid connective tissue. It is a fluid connective tissue that links different parts of the body. That links different parts of the body, and also it helps to maintain the continuity of the body. So point number 2, it helps to maintain the continuity of the body. It helps to maintain the continuity of the body. Clear? Now this blood actually contains a fluid matrix. This blood contains fluid matrix, which is known as plasma and blood cells. So blood is actually mainly composed of 2 parts, the fluid matrix called plasma and blood cells. Plasma and blood cells. So blood is actually composed of 2 parts. One is plasma, which is known as fluid matrix, and number 2 is blood cells. Blood cells. Clear? Now blood cells, they are further classified into 3 parts. These blood cells is further classified into 3 parts. One is RBC, one is WBC, and one is platelets. Now RBC stands for red blood corpuscle, WBC stands for white blood corpuscle. So RBC, that is red blood corpuscles. Red blood corpuscles, and this is white blood corpuscles. Clear? The full form of RBC and WBC. Now coming to this plasma, it contains proteins, salts and hormones. Plasma also contains proteins, salt and hormones. So this plasma, just write, plasma contains proteins, salts and hormones. And the function of blood is to transport nutrients, gases, hormones and vitamins to various body part. As it is a fluid connective tissue, so it is a fluid, that means it can transport nutrients, gases, hormones, vitamins to various body part. And also it carries excretory product from tissue to excretory organs. And also it conducts heat and regulates the body temperature. So that's the function of blood. So just write one by one. So the function of blood is it transports nutrients, gases, hormones, vitamins to various tissues of the body, Second function or fourth point will be it carries excretory products from tissues to excretory organs. Excretory organ means like kidneys. So it carries excretory products from tissues to excretory organs. Also, fifth point or third function of blood is it also conducts heat and regulates the body temperature. Clear? So this is the function of blood. Now we will discuss the properties of properties of different blood cells. So this is all about blood and mainly plasma. Now we will talk about different constituents or different part of blood cells. That means RBC, WBC and platelets. So RBC, that stands for red blood corpuscle. It helps in the transport of respiratory gases. So just write whatever I am telling. RBC actually helps in the transport of respiratory gases. That means oxygen and carbon dioxide with the help of hemoglobin, which is found in blood. Now hemoglobin is found in blood, so RBC help in the transport of respiratory gases, oxygen and carbon dioxide with the help of hemoglobin to various parts of our body. Clear? Number one. And the average lifespan. Now as RBC is a cell, RBC red blood corpuscle, that means is a cell. Clear? So all cells have a definite lifespan. Now the RBC, in case of RBC, the lifespan is 120 days. The question can come that write the lifespan of RBC. So lifespan of RBC is 120 days. Lifespan of RBC is 120 days. So its function is to transport respiratory gases, oxygen, carbon dioxide with the help of hemoglobin to various body parts, and its lifespan is 120 days. Next, coming to WBC. WBC also known as leukocytes. WBC is also known as leukocytes. WBC or white blood corpuscle is also known as leukocytes. It actually fight with the diseases. By producing antibodies. WBC actually produce antibodies, and it fight with the diseases by producing antibodies in our body. So that is the function of WBC or white blood corpuscle. Number third, blood platelets. Blood platelets also have a definite name. Now this blood platelets is also known as thrombocytes. These blood platelets, it has also a different name, that is thrombocytes. So blood platelets is also known as thrombocytes. It helps in the clotting of blood. Clotting of blood means they can coagulate blood or helps in the clotting of blood. So that is the function of blood platelets. So it's very important. Just thoroughly read this total blood portion. Clear? This very important part in connective tissue. So that's all about blood. Second connective tissue after blood, that is bone. Second connective tissue after blood is bone. So we know that bone is very strong. It is very strong and non-flexible tissue. It is very strong. Number one, it is very strong and non-flexible tissue. It is very strong and non-flexible tissue. It is very highly vascular, very hard, very rigid, and also porous. Its matrix actually made up of proteins and rich in salts and calcium and phosphorus. So bone is actually made up of protein, is rich in salts of calcium and phosphorus, and it is very highly vascular, very hard and very rigid. So write one by one whatever I am telling. So second point would be it's highly vascular, hard and rigid. Second point would be it's highly vascular, hard and rigid. Number 3 point would be it is made up of proteins. Bone is made up of proteins rich in calcium and phosphorus, rich in salt of calcium and phosphorus. So that is the 3 point of bone, and it also anchors muscles and supports our main organs. That is the function of bone. It anchors the muscles and supports the main organs. So that is bone. That is all about bone. Number 3 connective tissue. Number 3 connective tissue is ligaments. Number 3 connective tissue is ligaments. So ligaments are the materials or substances that connect one bone to the another bone. It is a material or substance that connects one bone to the another bone. It is very elastic and has a considerable strength. It is very elastic and considerable strength. So its main function is to connect one bone to the another bone. So if they connect, ligament, they connect one bone to the another bone. They connect one bone to the another bone, and it is very elastic and has considerable strength. Clear? This ligament actually strengthens the joints. This ligament actually strengthens the joint and permit normal movement. So number 1 point. Number 2, they strengthen joints and permits normal movement. So that is ligaments. Next, after ligaments, 4th connective tissue is tendons. 4th connective tissue is tendons. Now they are also very strong, like bone. These tendons are also very strong and they are inelastic structure which join skeletal muscle to bones. These tendons actually join skeletal muscle to bones. So number 1, they are strong. They are strong, inelastic structures. Inelastic structures which join skeletal muscles to bones. Tendons are strong, they are inelastic structures, they join skeletal muscles to bones, and they are composed of white fibrous tissues. With limited flexibility. They have limited flexibility but great strength. So they are composed of, these tendons are composed of white fibrous tissues. They are composed of white fibrous tissues with limited flexibility, but great strength. So these are tendons. Now after tendons, 5th connective tissue is cartilage. Fifth connective tissue is cartilage. So cartilage is a specialized connective tissue. It is a connective tissue actually, but it is a specialized connective tissue having a widely spaced cells. That means the tissue which is formed of cells, they have a very internuclear space between them. That means they are very widely spaced cells. And also it is a solid matrix. It is a solid matrix which is composed of proteins and sugars. So cartilage is composed of actually proteins and sugars, and it is a specialized connective tissue having widely spaced cells. So number one, specialized connective tissue having widely spaced cells. Number two, this cartilage is composed of proteins and sugars. Composed of proteins and sugars. It is composed of proteins and sugars. And the function of cartilage is it provides smoothness to the bone surface and joints. It provides smoothness to the bone surfaces at the joints. So it provides smoothness to the bone surfaces at the joints. And where these are found, these cartilage are found in nose, ear, trachea and larynx. Total in 4 parts. Number one, it is found in nose, ear, trachea and larynx. So these are cartilage connective tissue. It is a one type of connective tissue, specialized connective tissue. After cartilage, sixth connective tissue is areolar tissue. Sixth connective tissue is areolar tissue. Areolar tissue. It is a supporting tissue. This areolar tissue is a supporting and packing tissue. It is found between the organs of living body. This is a supporting tissue and packing tissue. It is found between the organs lying in the body or organs lying in the body cavity. And also its location is between skin and muscles. Between skin and muscles or around blood vessels, around nerves, in bone marrow. So all these places, these areolar tissues are found. So number one point, it is a supporting and packing tissue. It is a supporting and packing tissue found between the organs lying in the body cavity. So it is a supporting and packing tissue found between the organs lying in the body cavity. And also just write, I am telling, it is located between the skin and muscles. It is located between skin and muscles, around blood vessels and nerves, and also in the bone marrow. Clear? So this is areolar tissue. Last tissue of connective tissue, that is seventh tissue, that is adipose tissue. Adipose tissue. It actually serves as a fat reservoir. That means this tissue is composed of fat. That means it is known as fat reservoir. It keeps organs in position. It actually keeps organs in their position, act as an insulator due to the storage of fat. It acts as an insulator due to storage of fat. So number one, adipose tissue, as it is composed of fat, so it is known as fat reservoir. So it serves as a fat reservoir. It keeps, number two, it keeps organs in position. It keeps organs in position. Also it acts as an insulator due to the storage of fat. So it acts as a insulator due to storage of fats, clear. And its location is, it is found below the skin. It is found below the skin between the internal organs. Just write fourth point, that it is found below the skin between the internal organs, in between the internal organs. So that is all about adipose tissue. And with this our connective tissue complete. We will move to the next tissue, the basic tissues. That is the third tissue is muscular tissue. The third tissue, that is muscular tissue. Third, that is muscular tissue. Third one, that is muscular tissue. Now this muscular tissue is consist of elongated cells. This muscular tissue is actually composed of or consists of elongated cells, which is called muscle fibers. And this tissue is responsible for the movement in our body, as this is a muscular tissue, and so it is actually responsible for the movement in our body, and it contains special type of proteins which is known as contractile proteins. This muscular tissue is composed of special type of proteins which is known as contractile proteins. Special type of proteins which is known as contractile proteins. It is composed of special type of proteins which is known as contractile proteins, which actually causes the movement of muscles. The presence of these contractile proteins actually helps the movement of muscles by contraction and relaxation. So this is all about muscular tissue, and muscular tissue is classified into three parts. One is striated muscles, unstriated muscles, or it is also known as smooth muscles, and the third one is cardiac muscle. So number one category is striated muscles. Second category is unstriated, or it is also known as smooth muscles, and the third category is cardiac muscles. So striated muscles, these are present in our limbs. Which move or stop as per our will, which is called as striated muscles. So these are present in our limbs. That is the number first point will be, these are present in our limbs. Present in our limbs, which move or stop, as per our will. That means we can easily move or stop. That means depending on our choice, we can easily move or we can easily stop these muscles, as these muscles are present in our limbs. So they are striated muscles. So as we can control these muscles, so these striated muscles also known as voluntary muscles. That means the control of these muscles, we can easily control these muscles, or their control, its control can be done by us. We can control this movement of these muscles. That's why they are known as voluntary muscles. As we can move them by our will, so they are voluntary muscles. And striated muscles also attach to bones. They are also attached to bones and help in the body movement. They help in the body movement. That's why they are also known as skeletal muscles. Apart from voluntary muscles, they are also known as skeletal muscles. Because they are attached to bones and they help in the body movement. That means muscles of limbs. They are also known as skeletal muscles. Clear? So they are striated muscles, skeletal muscles, and also voluntary muscles. So these are striated muscles. Coming to unstriated or smooth muscles, the muscles which we cannot move as per our will. The muscles which we cannot move as per our will are known as unstriated or smooth muscles. Now these striated muscles we can move as per our will, and unstriated means those muscles which cannot we cannot move as per our will. They are unstriated muscles. So the muscles which we cannot move as per our will, or these muscles we cannot move as per our will. That's why they are known as unstriated muscles or smooth muscles, and they are also termed as involuntary muscles because we cannot control these muscles, we cannot control the movement of these muscles. That's why they are termed as involuntary muscles. Involuntary muscles. For example, like movement of food in your alimentary canal, food in our alimentary canal which we cannot control, or contraction and relaxation of blood vessels, or muscles present in your ureter, muscles present in your lungs. That means these muscles we cannot control this movement. That means these are examples of your involuntary muscles. So examples are like muscles present in your ureters, iris of your eye, or movement of food in your alimentary canal. So these are muscles actually known as unstriated or smooth muscles, because these muscles, the movement of these muscles cannot be controlled by us. So they are unstriated muscles. Clear? Next, third one is cardiac muscles. They are involuntary muscles. Cardiac muscles are actually involuntary muscles. Cardiac muscles are involuntary muscles, but they are only present in heart. They are present in our heart. So the location of cardiac muscle is heart, and they are involuntary muscles. Why involuntary? Because we cannot control the movement of heart. We all know that we cannot control the movement of heart. It beats 24/7. We cannot stop its movement, we cannot start its movement. That means the movement of heart cannot be controlled by us. That means they are involuntary muscles. So cardiac muscles are involuntary muscles, but they are present only in heart. They perform rhythmic contraction and relaxation throughout our life. Clear? So they are cardiac muscles. So muscular tissue complete. Striated muscles, unstriated or smooth muscles, and cardiac muscles. Our last tissue, fourth tissue, that is your nervous tissue. Fourth tissue, that is your nervous tissue. Fourth, that is nervous tissue. Fourth tissue, that is nervous tissue. So what are nervous tissue? The tissue that receives stimulus, and transmit it from one part of the tissue to other. The tissue that receives stimulus and transmit it from one part of the tissue to other, they are called nervous tissue. Clear? The nervous tissue are constitute of cells. This nervous tissue is constitute of cells which are known as nerve cells. This nervous tissue is combination of cells or composed of cells which is known as nerve cells, or it has a specific name, that is neuron. Nerve cells or neuron. These are very highly specialized cells. Which is specialized for receiving stimulus, and then it transmits very rapidly from one place to another place within the body. For example, brain, in your spinal cord, in your nerves, they are actually composed of this nervous tissue, which in turn they are composed of nerve cells or neurons. Clear? An individual nerve cell or neuron may be up to a length of 1 meter. It can be a length of up to 1 meter, and this nerve cell is composed of three major parts. This nerve cell or neuron is composed of three major parts. One is your cell body, one is your axon, and the third one is your dendrites. Now just open in your NCERT book or any reference book, you can find the diagram of neuron. Just practice the diagram of neuron, because the diagram of neuron or nerve cell is very important. Clear? So just practice, because the diagram can come in your question paper. The diagram is very important. Just open your NCERT textbook or any other reference book. You can easily find the diagram given in nervous tissue. So just practice the nerve cell or neuron diagram, because this is very important, and there you can easily find the different parts of nerve cell, that is cell body, action and dendrites. So coming to cell body, the cell body consists of cytoplasm, nucleus and cell membrane. So cell body is actually composed of cytoplasm, number one cytoplasm, it composed of number one cytoplasm, nucleus and cell membrane, nucleus and cell membrane. So all total 3 parts in cell body. It is composed of cytoplasm, nucleus and cell membrane. Next, axon. Coming to axon, it is a single long conducting fiber. Axon is a single long conducting fiber. Fiber means thread like structure, so it is a thread like structure, axon, a single long conducting fiber extending from neuron, and it transmit impulse away from the cell body. So its main function, axon main function is to transmit impulse away from the cell body. So it transmits impulse away from the cell body, transmit impulse away from the cell body. Coming to dendrites, these are very short branched fibers. These are also fibers like axon, but dendrites are very short branched fibers of neuron which receive nerve impulse. That means the axon actually transmit impulse and the dendrites receive those impulses coming from axon. Clear? Axon actually transmit impulse away from cell body, and the axon and the impulse transmitted by axon is received by dendron. So the function of dendrites is, or dendron is, it is also called dendron or dendrites. So its function is to receive nerve impulses which is transmitted by axon. So its function is to receive impulses. Its function is to receive nerve impulses. It receives nerve impulses. So it is dendron or dendrites. Clear? So next the part, the animal tissue is total complete. Clear? So just one question can come in your exam, like write differences between plant tissues and animal tissues. There is an important question, the differences between plant tissues and animal tissues. So we can easily find in your book or any other reference book. Just prepare this question, the differences between animal tissues and plant tissues. Clear? So the chapter is complete. In the lecture 1 plant tissues were complete, and in this session lecture 2 animal tissues were complete. Clear? So just revise thoroughly in your book from NCERT or any other textbook. Just revise thoroughly and see these videos again and again. And so that's all. It's complete. In the next session we will start a new chapter. Thank you.